All right, so today we're going to dive deep into a story that's well, it reads more like a movie script than anything else.
Yeah.
It's called The Napkin Song, and
Right.
you wouldn't believe some of the characters that pop up in this thing. We've got Thomas Jane,
Hmm.
we've got Kiefer Sutherland,
Wow.
Anne Hetch, and then a whole bunch of Disney figures. I
What?
know it's crazy.
That's quite the lineup.
I mean, talk about a story that just throws everything at the wall and sees what sticks.
Yeah, what's going on here?
Well, you've got a Chinese spy balloon.
Yeah.
You've got a bar full of singing Disney characters.
Singing.
Oh, yeah, a high-speed car chase through L.A., and even some, like, supernatural elements.
Really? This is sounding less like a song and more like a blockbuster movie.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so much fun to unpack.
I bet.
But before we get into all those crazy details,
Hmm.
I think it's worth asking ourselves, what makes a song truly special?
Yeah.
Is it the melody, the lyrics, or is there something else at play here?
That's a great question, and one that I think this story really digs into.
Well, let's find out. Our story starts off in a bustling city bar where Thomas Jane and Kiefer Sutherland meet.
Interesting.
Now, we know them as actors,
Mm.
but here they're both sort of exploring the world of songwriting.
Okay.
And what I think is really interesting is that this whole thing starts with chance.
Mm.
They just happen to be in the same place at the same time, strike up a conversation over drinks, and boom, a creative spark ignites.
I love that. It's a good reminder that you never know where inspiration might strike.
Absolutely. And you're not going to believe what sparks the idea for this song.
Okay, lay it on me.
A Chinese spy balloon.
A what?
Yeah, the one that was shot down over Myrtle Beach. Remember that whole thing?
Oh, yeah, vaguely.
Well, Kiefer gets totally fixated on this event, starts jotting down lyrics right there on a napkin.
Wait, on a napkin?
Yep, a napkin. Hence the name, The Napkin Song.
Okay, I get it. No, that's pretty funny.
Now, at first, Thomas is a little bewildered by all this.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I mean, he's enjoying the conversation, but he doesn't quite get what Kiefer's going for with this whole napkin song thing.
I think that's a common reaction to creativity, right? Like we often have these preconceived notions of what art should be.
Totally. We
Yeah.
expect it to be polished and perfect, but sometimes the most powerful stuff comes from those raw, unfiltered moments.
Exactly.
So as the night goes on and the drinks flow, Kiefer starts to open up a little bit.
Mm.
He talks about his relationship with his father, his desire to be recognized for his art, the self-doubt that creeps in along the way.
That's deep.
And it's in this vulnerability, the sharing of personal experiences, that the napkin song starts to take on a deeper meaning.
I see. It becomes more than just a song. It becomes a reflection of their lives, their struggles, their hopes.
Precisely.
Okay.
And then in this gesture that seems both casual and really significant, Kiefer gets up, leaves the bar, and leaves the napkin with Thomas.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like he's passing on a torch,
Yeah.
and entrusting him with something precious.
I wonder what the napkin symbolizes. Does it represent Kiefer's creative legacy? Or maybe the idea that art should be shared and not hoarded?
That's a really interesting question and one that we'll definitely come back to.
Okay.
But first, things are about to take a turn for the dramatic because Thomas gets a call from his ex, Anne Hesh,
Oh.
and we quickly learn that things did not end well between them.
Sounds messy.
Yeah, there's a lot of tension, a lot left unsaid.
I've been there.
And just as Thomas is processing this phone call, who shows up but Anne herself,
No way.
and before he knows what's happening, she snatches the napkin with the song on it and vanishes.
Seriously, she stole the napkin.
She did. It's like straight out of a heist movie.
So what does this mean for Thomas and Kiefer's song?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Suddenly it's not just about creating art anymore. It's about protecting it, retrieving it.
Wow, the stakes just got a lot higher.
They sure did. And this theft sends Thomas on a wild goose chase that leads him to one of the most unexpected characters I could have imagined.
Okay, you've got to tell me who it is.
Darkwing Duck.
Wait, Darkwing Duck, the cartoon character.
The one and only.
I am so confused right now.
I know it sounds crazy, but trust me, it all makes sense in the context of this story.
All right, I'm intrigued. Keep going.
So picture this Thomas is wandering through a forest, distraught over the stolen song, when he bumps into Darkwing Duck.
I can't even imagine what that conversation must have been like.
Well, despite his cartoonish persona, Darkwing Duck actually delivers a really powerful message about bravery and self-belief.
Wow, I would not have seen that coming.
It's amazing how the writer uses a character like Darkwing Duck to impart this kind of wisdom. It's almost like they're playing with our expectations using humor and absurdity to deliver something really meaningful.
It's a brilliant way to disarm the audience, make them laugh while simultaneously making them think.
Exactly. And Just when Thomas is starting to find his resolve, guess who reappears?
Let me guess, Donald Duck?
Yep, Kiefer's back.
Oh, interesting. So what happens?
Well, he comes back with a surprising revelation.
Okay, what is it?
He tells Thomas that the napkin song was never meant to be owned. It was meant for the world.
That's an interesting twist.
He explains that greed is the enemy of creativity, that true art transcends personal possession.
That's a pretty profound statement.
And to emphasize this point, what do? They break into song, of course,
Of course they do.
and they're joined by a whole chorus of Disney characters, all singing about the perils of greed and the importance of sharing.
Okay, now that's a scene I have to see.
It's wild. It's like a Disney musical on steroids, but with a really powerful message about letting go of creative ownership.
It makes you wonder how often we get caught up in the idea of possessing something, whether it's a physical object or an idea.
Exactly. But maybe true fulfillment comes from sharing, from allowing something to take on a life of its own.
That's a great point. So what happens next? Where does Anne fit into all of this?
Well, as you might imagine, Anne is not exactly on board with this whole sharing is caring philosophy.
Yeah, I figured.
She's got the napkin song, remember?
Yeah.
And she's determined to use it for her own purposes.
Ugh. Oh, this can't be good.
In fact, she's surrounded herself with a crew of Disney villains, and they're cooking up a plan to twist the song's message for their own evil ends.
Seriously, Disney villains.
Oh, yeah. This is where things start to get really crazy.
This is nuts. So what happens next? Do Thomas and Kiefer trying to get the song back?
They do, and that's where the action really kicks into high gear.
Ooh, tell me more.
Get ready for a wild card chase through the streets of L.A. with Thomas and Kiefer pursuing and desperate to reclaim the Napkin song.
This is like Fast and Furious, but with Disney characters.
Pretty much. It's
Yeah.
pure cinematic spectacle, high-speed chases near misses, and this constant sense of danger.
It sounds intense.
It is.
Yeah.
And the chase culminates in this dramatic crash that leaves us all hanging on the edge of our seats.
Oh, no. So is this where we leave it?
We do, but don't worry, we'll be back next time to dive into part 2 of the Napkin song.
Can't wait. I mean, that crash was intense.
Seriously, I thought it was all over.
Anne's car was completely wrecked.
Engulfed in flames, too.
And for a moment there, it seemed like the Napkin song was gone for good.
It was like watching a dream go up in smoke.
But Kiefer, he stays totally calm amidst the chaos.
Yeah, what was that about?
He just turns to Thomas and says, "Don't worry, the Napkin song will never die."
You know, it's like he knew something we didn't.
Oh, yeah.
He understood the song on a deeper level.
Right. It's almost like he had faith in the song's power to transcend destruction.
And you're not going to believe what happens next.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat.
As the smoke clears, the Napkin song starts to reemerge from the wreckage.
Wait, what? How is that even possible?
It's like it's being reborn out of the ashes, woven from stardust and sound.
This is getting more and more surreal.
And get this, it's more vibrant, more beautiful than before.
It's like the crash somehow purified it, stripped away all the negativity.
Maybe that's the point. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes destruction can lead to creation.
That's a thought.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Thomas reaches out and catches the newly formed Napkin song. But this time it feels different. He doesn't catch it for himself. He catches it for everyone.
Wow, that's a powerful image.
It's like he's finally understanding that the song is bigger than any one person.
Like it's meant to be shared with the world.
Exactly. And that's when the real magic happens. They all start to sing.
Who's they?
Thomas Kiefer, the Disney heroes. Everyone.
Everywhere.
It's this amazing moment of unity and joy. Like they're all connected by the power of this incredible song.
That's beautiful. It's like the song has brought them all together.
And it makes you think about how music can transcend differences. You know, it can bring people together in a way that nothing else can.
Yeah, there's definitely something special about the shared experience of music.
So we go from this crazy car chase, this battle for possession, to this scene of pure harmony and celebration.
It's a pretty stark contrast.
But I think it highlights the deeper message of this story. You know, it's not about greed or ownership. It's about sharing the joy of creation with the world.
That's a powerful message. And it makes me wonder if we're all holding on to napkin songs in our own lives.
What do you mean?
You know, things that we think we need to possess, but maybe we'd be better off letting go, allowing them to take on a life of their own.
That's a really interesting thought. And it ties back to what Kiefer said earlier about greed being the enemy of creativity.
Exactly. Maybe true fulfillment comes from sharing our gifts with the world.
So as the song fades and the story comes to a close, we're left with this powerful image.
Okay, what is it?
A silhouette of Thomas laughing at a napkin with a musical note on it.
That's so simple, yet so profound.
It's like a reminder that even the most ordinary things can hold extraordinary meaning.
Yeah, it's about finding the magic in the everyday.
So as we move into the final part of our deep dive, I want to ask you this. What can we take away from this wild and whimsical story?
That's a great question.
What does the Napkin Song tell us about creativity, ownership, and the enduring power of art?
I mean, it's pretty amazing how we started this deep dive talking about Chinese spy balloons
Right, right.
and car chases
Yeah.
and ended up talking about, like creativity and ownership and the power of art.
It's wild how this story just takes you on this totally unexpected journey.
Totally. And that's what makes it so compelling. You start off thinking it's just a silly little story, but then it hits you with these really profound truths.
Yeah, like you said earlier, it starts with the absurd, embraces the fantastical, and then ultimately lands you in a place of deep human truth.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes the Napkin Song so special. It reminds us that art has the power to do all of those things, to unite, to heal, to transform.
And you know what else I find really interesting about this story?
What's that?
It's how it manages to weave in all these different themes.
Like what?
Well, you've got fatherhood friendship, the yearning for recognition, the struggle against greed, even the power of belief.
Wow, yeah, you're right. It's like a tapestry of human experience.
Exactly, but it's disguised as this, Disney-infused action comedy musical.
It's brilliant. It's like sneaking vegetables into a kid's meal.
You totally get it. So going back to what you said earlier about those napkin songs in our own lives,
Yep.
do you really think that an everyday object like a napkin could hold that much meaning?
Well, I think it's less about the napkin itself and more about the potential that it represents.
I like that.
It's about looking at the world with a sense of wonder and curiosity.
Seeing the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Exactly. What if we all started approaching life that way? Looking for those hidden stories, those unsung melodies in our everyday lives?
So basically you're saying that there's a napkin song waiting to be written in all of us.
I think so. I think we all have stories to tell, experiences to share.
And maybe those stories, even the ones that seem small or insignificant, have the power to touch hearts, change lives.
I believe they do. I think every act of creation, no matter how big or small, has the potential to leave a mark on the world.
And that's a pretty beautiful thought to end on.
It is. It's a reminder that we all have something to contribute.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the napkin song, I hope you'll join me in embracing that idea.
Me too. Let's all go out there and find our own napkin songs.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll be sharing them with the world.
I can't wait.